Hey, what's up? I'm Amanda.
I'm Emily.
And this is Two Moms, One Mic. And we are at episode 6.
We made it.
We made it. And today we're going to talk a little bit about mom guilt.
Yeah, that's a big thing throughout any stage of being a mom, I think.
And like what makes you feel guilty as a mom.
Mm-hmm.
So Emily and I were just brainstorming before we came on, and we realized
we might be bad moms. Not much makes us feel guilty, so I don't know. But luckily, we asked you guys what makes you feel guilty, so we're gonna comment on that.
Yeah.
So we're gonna pull that up. Who knows? Maybe by reading some of this, we might relate to something.
Yeah.
Okay, so. Oops, let's go on here. All right, so what we have here. Not cooking dinner during a busy day. I can get this one.
I'm just laughing because
So last week we were talking about like the old school mentality, right? And I feel like if your parents were anything like ours, it was kind of like mom would have dinner done by the time dad came home, which is relatable. And now maybe that mentality has obviously passed down to people. And I think honestly
makes sense. Yeah.
I think for like a long time I was like that, where I felt like making dinner was a very big priority. But honestly, since having kids, making dinner is obviously a priority. Don't get me wrong, like a home cooked meal is important. But also my husband has very erratic schedules because he's all over the place. So sometimes he can be stuck in traffic for 2 hours. So in my mind, like I have a dinner time, 90% of the time he doesn't make it. So I have no guilt for that because I'm making dinner for myself and the kids.
So you always make dinner or you pick it up? I feel like this person was saying like they don't make dinner, like they feel guilty when they have to pick it up. Am I wrong?
I mean that definitely could be it, or even just that could also be it too. Like I feeling bad of not making a home cooked meal as well.
Yeah, so I'll say like my guilt probably comes around cooking, in the sense that when I was on mat leave, like I was that mom that like pureed everything. Like I didn't do pouches or jars, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I was like making him like his pureed carrots, his pureed peas, and all of that. And then I even got to the point where I was grinding down chicken breast because I had like a meat grinder, butcher's daughter right here, and making homemade chicken nuggets and like breading them and like putting vegetables in them. This is literally what I was doing. Like,
homestead,
this is what I was doing.
What do they call those wives now? The track wives?
Because I always said to myself, like, he's gonna eat good food, because like growing up I ate good food, and now I've already purchased like boxed chicken nuggets and french fries and all of that stuff.
Well,
so my
kids are eating McDonald's tonight, so
yeah, I feel guilty when like I'm going to the frozen things for dinner. I definitely feel guilty. I feel like I could be cooking something and giving him a more nutritious meal. That's
I think in this sense though, like if you're going to admit that you had a busy day and you're unable to cook dinner, don't feel guilty.
Yeah, that's true.
You were doing something, even if it's busy for yourself, busy for your family, busy for your business. If you were being productive doing something, don't feel guilty for not making dinner.
And at the same time, like I'm gonna make this comment on every single one of these that we read. Is dad worrying about dinner? Is dad making sure it's done? Is dad making sure there's a healthy meal? Like, why? Again, I want to talk about this one day, but why is all of this on us?
Yeah.
As moms, we worry about A, B, C, D, F, E, G, H. We wake up like this. And it's, what is my son going to eat for breakfast this morning? What's he going to wear to school? Blah, blah. Dad wakes up, brushes his teeth, gets ready, puts on some deodorant, and out the door.
This is what I mean. Like, mental load is also what contributes to the mom guilt.
Because, yeah, we have so
much on our plate, and yet we still feel guilty about it, and that's the mind-blowing part about it.
And then, like, you're out at an event, and daddy's holding the baby, and he's being patted on the back because he's such a good dad, and it's like, hey.
Yeah, you literally did nothing, but okay.
Like, this is, again, we have mom guilt for no reason. We
have mom guilt for doing the most. We literally we do the most. And we feel guilty for it, which is wild.
I think that's why I don't feel guilty, because it's like, I know I try my best.
Exactly.
I know I'm like doing everything that I can, and like I matter too. I'm sorry. Like, moms need to realize. I think that's the problem with moms. They don't realize that they matter.
Yeah.
You matter. You talked about it one week. We became moms and everything's mama, mama, mama. And I was that mom with like the mama sweaters, like the mama gear. And then when you talked about it that episode, I was like, hey, like I gave myself the mama identity too.
Yeah.
Because like it's true, society throws it at you and then you kind of like love it. Like mama, like I don't know. But now I'm at a point where it's like, no, I want to be Amanda again. Like,
yeah.
I want to be Mama to Antonio, but I want to be Amanda to everyone else.
Yeah.
So, sorry, I rambled a little, but...
It's okay. It's our podcast. We can talk as long as we want.
Okay, I have one here. You want me to go with this one? Because there's just one.
Sure.
It's wanting time for yourself, but not wanting to leave your kids. So, I'm going to start with this. When Antonio was 8 months old... my ex and I went to Nashville for 4 days because, again, I was mentally struggling. I talked about it in episode 2. I went through postpartum and I became suicidal and I was just really struggling that I needed that break. So we went to Nashville for 4 days and I felt so guilty leaving my son at 8 months old with my mom.
Yeah.
But it was well needed, honestly. It was very well needed. And I think that it's important to even recognize as a mom that to give yourself a break like that if you do feel like you need it, because I went back being a better version of myself for my son.
Yeah.
And like wanting a time to yourself is so important so you can be the best version of yourself.
Yeah.
And again, I'll talk about another podcast. When I was at my all-time low, I was so low that for 3 days, because of what happened in my life, we're going to talk about this one day. My son was living off of pouches. And I remember driving to my mom's house saying like, hey, I need you to like make food and feed my son. Like I can't take care of him right now.
Yeah.
And again, I had so much mom guilt around the fact that I couldn't properly take care of my son. But again, I needed to take care of me. Like I matter too, right?
Yeah.
So saying that you want time for yourself, but you're feeling guilty and you want to spend time with your kids, you need to recognize how much you matter and how important it is to give yourself that time so you could be the best version of yourself when you are around your kids, right? Because if you aren't mentally all there, then you're spending time with them and you're probably not doing a good job at it
I
either.
know, like if you're with them, but you're like, at the end of your rope and all you're doing is yelling and getting frustrated, that's not good for you or your kid.
Yeah.
So it's maybe better that you go do what you want to do on your own, that you can come back and have, that higher tolerance and not be so short-fused anymore.
Yeah, definitely, with the bigger window of tolerance so you can enjoy the time that you are spending together with your child as well. Yeah.
Yeah. This one, leaving children at daycare. Now, my first one, he didn't really do daycare. He did preschool at the age of 3. And, I found that to be hard. My second one's 2. And every day, someone asks me, is he in daycare? Is he in daycare? Is he in daycare? And I'm like, no. But to me, it's more A, I'm home. Mm-hmm. And B, it's I don't know. I guess because, now I have a child, in full-time school. You really only realize the amount of time that you do have with your kids is very short. And I'm not saying this to guilt anyone. I understand that daycare is a very essential need for many families because they have to go to work or whatever the situation is. But for me, and because I spent, so many years with my first, I feel bad not giving the same to my second. So he's at home with me, even though he drives me nuts and not sleeping.
Well, so what did this person say? Sending them to
so they have guilt leaving at daycare.
So I'm going to talk from... My son's been in daycare since he was 15 months, and I was still on mat leave. I took a 20-month mat leave, and he was in daycare 2 days a week.
Yeah, you did kind of easing.
And I started that because I knew come September he had to go to daycare full time, and I wanted him to be comfortable. I didn't want him to hate the place.
Yeah, like a whole shock type thing.
And because we were part time, actually, he cried for months over it. Although I will say, if you're a mom on maternity leave and you are debating starting daycare a little bit sooner before you go back to work, I highly recommend it. I was so grateful to have those 2 days a week for myself. and just like whether I like used it for clean. Okay, it's not really to myself. If I'm going to talk about all the chores I did, cleaning, well, doing the tasks that need to get done.
Yeah.
You know what? Because your list does get overwhelming, and being able to check off those things without a child around,
Yeah.
really, really helps. So I did. I started him early. I mean, like next week's Christmas break, and I'm a teacher, and I'm home, and I'm sending him to daycare.
Ooh,
So
I can't believe it's open.
yeah, I know a lot of my friends are like, my daycare's not open.
Yeah.
Mine's open. I'm sending him on the days that they're still open.
Yeah, wow. Good for
Because
you.
number one, like I want him to have that consistency. Last week he was off sick for the whole week, and dropping him off this week, he's been crying every single day.
Oh yeah, the routine. Yeah.
So he needs that routine, and a part of me feels a little bit guilty that I'm sending him while I'm at home. But I mean, like, I'll pick him up at a decent time. It's still, like, it's a school day, and I'll still spend time with him later. And this is how you don't make yourself feel guilty. You got to justify why you're doing things. Like, let him go there, have a little social time, learn a little bit, and then afternoon we could spend
and
together.
once again, reiterating what you said after the first point, does dad feel guilty that the child's in daycare?
No. Dad doesn't feel guilty.
Did dad feel guilty going back to work after 2 weeks of becoming a dad?
No.
No. So
we can't feel guilty.
You're good.
Ask your husband if
You're
he ever
good.
feels guilty,
Yeah.
or the dad of your child, anyone. Ask them if they're feeling guilty. I guarantee you they're not.
So, okay, this kind of like ties in with the last one, that I love working. So this person like loves
that's
their
me.
job,
That's
and they
me.
feel bad about that because I think society is also like, no, you should love being a mama more.
I couldn't wait to go back to work, to the point that when I got him in part-time daycare, I was looking to get a part-time job being a waitress at a restaurant. And all of my friends are like, but you're going to go work somewhere? And I'm like, yeah, I mean, like, when am I ever going to have the opportunity to be a waitress? Like, I've never done that. I've never had that as a part-time job. I said it would kind of be cool.
Just for
like,
fun.
and then they were just like, what? And everyone thought I was crazy. But I realized for me, work isn't just work. It's a social thing for me as well.
Yeah.
I love the social aspect of being like, I'm a very social person. I could have a conversation with a wall and become best friends. Like, I love the aspect of being around people, socializing.
But also, like how you were saying that, daycare is a routine for kids. Work is a routine for adults too. And some people thrive on that routine.
Yes,
you know
I'm a
what I
routine
mean?
person.
Some people, for them, that gives them peace, knowing that they have, to clock in, clock out, that aspect in between too, right?
It's really difficult spending all day with a child. Honestly, it is.
For sure.
And it overstimulates you. It does. It overstimulates you. And this is like, you shouldn't feel guilty. I just want to tell you, moms, don't feel guilty, okay? You deserve everything that you want. You deserve the breaks, and you deserve time off. You really do. And like, give it
That would
to
have been
yourself.
for a great ending, but now we have more things to talk
Sorry,
about.
we have more to talk about. But yeah, like, you deserve it. Don't forget it.
No, it's true. No, I agree 1,000,000,000%. Okay, this one I need to open up. Trying to get my kids in bed early because I just want to hang out with my husband.
I think that's really sweet.
That
Like
is,
that.
first of all, really sweet.
Like, you don't really hear a lot of people say
no,
that.
because if anything, you hear more how, like, when you had kids, you almost, like, not forget about your husband, but it's kind of like you just kind of go in, like, mom mode, and then it's, like, partner gets his own life, and then you get your own life, and then you hear more and more, like, oh, I sit on one couch, and he sits on another, and we're just, like, scrolling, and there's no interaction. But this person's admitting, like, hey, I kind of want those kids away so I could actually reconnect
really
with my
sweet.
husband.
I think that's important. That's really important. I think if you're a new mom, or a mom in general, someone in a relationship, anything, it's really important to give each other
what
time.
Could
and
lead to separations, that it's like you forget what brought you guys together. That connection gets lost. You're not communicating anymore. Maybe you're not intimate as much, and now it's like, oh, hello, stranger. I guess our common denominator is our kid, but is that sometimes enough to hold people together? I don't know. So I think this is really nice. I don't think that you should feel guilty putting your bed.
No.
First of all, if your kid can't tell time, put them to bed whatever fucking time you want. Like, they don't know. And especially now when it's dark, like at 4 o'clock, put them to bed at 4 o'clock. I don't care.
Yeah.
They don't know. So it's fine. Put them to bed early. You do you. You show your man that you love him.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But you know what else that also shows? Your kids are going to grow up seeing mommy and daddy being so affectionate and loving each other and spending time together, and that's gonna foster their own relationships in the future.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that's really important that you want to spend time with your husband, number one, but number two, that you guys are working to keep that honeymoon phase, I'm gonna call it, or keep that spark.
Keep anything, really. Just keep anything, because they can get hard.
That's something that your kids will see one day, and I think that's really beautiful for them to see as well, and that will foster their own relationships in the future, for sure.
Let's reload this. Let's see if we got any new ones.
But I'm just waiting for Emily to load this up. But yeah, like, there's always going to be guilt in everything.
But like we were saying, the irony is we feel guilty because we ultimately end up doing the most. And even though we do the most, that one little thing still makes us feel guilty.
Yeah.
And that's what we need to get out of. We cannot feel guilty for not doing it all. I don't think that's right.
I'm like thinking as you speak. It's hard. It's everything though. Like, even as a society, we put pressure on ourselves as parents because of how society is. And I'm gonna, because it's Christmas time, and I know this is gonna play in the new year, but like, for example, Christmas time, like Elf on the Shelf, Santa Cam, this and that, and then like parents feel like this expectation to like move around this elf daily. And like, on Instagram, I'm sorry, I've seen some people's like setups for their elves, and I'm just like wondering what is going on. It's very elaborate, and I'm just thinking to myself, like, oh my god, do I have to do this one day? Like, one lady like set up like movie night for her elf, and then set up like made like fake movie tickets, made a bowl of popcorn so the elf was sitting in front of a bowl of popcorn, and then set up all her kids like stuffed animals to watch it with the and I'm just like, who has time for this? Like, honestly, you're putting your kid down and you're doing all of this, like, and then other moms see it and they feel guilty because they're not doing all of this.
Yes,
that's
social media guilt.
Like,
social media. How many times have you scrolled through something, and regardless of the elf, anytime a mom posts something that they did for their kid, sometimes you're like, ugh.
Yeah, like,
Great.
I have a friend, she puts her son...
St. Patrick's Day. These, even Valentine's Day, there's stuff that, any occasion now has become
what's
way
up with
more
all this
elaborate.
gift giving?
Yeah.
Why are we always giving our kids something? Hello, you got a roof over your head and food.
No,
like,
I know,
isn't that
but
enough?
like, sometimes honestly, just scrolling through Instagram all of this can trigger a lot of guilt, because you're like, am I enough? Am I enough? Look how these kids are living. Look, this mother, made the elf do something crazy, or this mother did this, that, and then just that alone can send you spiraling. But you are enough. You are enough for your children, and they are blessed to have you, and you need to remember this, because you are not told this enough. And this is what the message that should be told. Not you should be doing this. It's what you're doing is enough.
Really, like, all a kid wants is to spend time with you, honestly.
Yeah,
I remember, like,
literally.
A friend of mine she was trying to figure out what she was going to do for her son's 4th or 5th birthday. And she was, oh my God, I don't know what I'm going to do for this kid, blah, blah. And her husband goes, ask him what he wants to do. And she goes, what do you want to do for your birthday? And he goes, I want to paint rocks with you. And that's what they did. They collected rocks. And sometimes it's really as simple as that. I want to go to the park. They just want to be with you. They don't need to go to, like, what do we have, like a play place? What's a good play place? I don't know, an elaborate play, the bubble, and jump and do this. They just need you to put the phone down and to give them attention. I had a dance party with my son last night, and he won't ever remember it. He's 2, but I will. It was like such a good dance party. Like, it was just the connection we had in like the spending time together, right?
For sure.
And again, it's now going to be a core memory for me because of how much fun we just had, and him running into my arms and throwing him in the air, and it didn't cost me anything. I just put music on my phone, like
I think like these content creators put out this lifestyle, and then we start thinking like, wow, that's what makes a good mom. Well, guess what? There have been tens and thousands and billions of moms before content creator moms ever hit the internet, and they were all good moms.
Yeah.
And they didn't do elaborate things.
Like, you don't have to go and spend like $50, $60, $70 at all these Christmas events.
Yeah.
Go to the dollar store, like, buy something, make Christmas cards together, like little things like that, honestly.
You can color leaves that have fallen. Like, it's
put on
really,
a Christmas movie and drink some hot chocolate and color pictures
like,
together.
honestly, the best gift that you could literally give your child is time. It really is time.
They just want to spend time with
you.
They
do.
And it doesn't have to be. No, it goes back against the mom who's like wanting time for herself.
Yeah.
But no, I'm just saying, like, you don't need to feel pressure and mom guilt over.
Almost lost y'all there. We're still here.
What you're seeing other people do, because what you're doing is what you can do. It's what you can do.
Yeah.
And it's more than enough. If someone else is able to do X, Y, and Z, but you could only do X, then there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Your child's not going to know the difference either with that. They really won't. Do we have any more?
No, let's check yours.
I'll check mine. I don't know if we have any more people that have filled in our box. We don't.
I think we got like a good range.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, you know, like we said, you're enough. Don't feel guilty. You do more than enough for your children.
And dad never feels guilty. Yeah. If dad doesn't feel guilty, you don't need to feel guilty.
Exactly.
Because you're doing 1,000 times more than daddy is.
And so just remember that.
That note.
See you next time.
Bye.